Welcome to Up Close and Personal, a series of shows focusing on Taylor's leaders. I'm your host, Carl Zymak, and welcome to our home away from home in the other side of the media building. We're at the Taylor Veterans Museum today. Today's guest is Charley Johnson, and we're killing two birds with one stone here. While Charley is a member of City Council, he's also the chairman of the Museum Commission and is in the midst of a big campaign to raise funds for this Veterans Museum. Charley has served as a member of City Council since November of 2013 and is currently the longest serving member of the legislative body. He will complete his third four-year term in November of 2025. Charley is one of 7 members on the City Council, the legislative branch of municipal government. The 7-member board is elected at large and serves 4-year terms, running bi-monthly meetings on the first and third Tuesdays of the month. All meetings are open to the public. Charley, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm doing good.
Doing good? And we're at ease here. Quiet in the museum, that's
it is
for
quiet,
sure.
Yep.
At the end of this term, you will have served 12 straight years on council, the longest consecutive streak of anybody around here. Does it ever get old?
Sometimes it does. It's not as easy as people think.
Okay. Is it tough to, because I've always thought that you're always a councilman, okay?
Always.
I mean, it's 24/7 as long as you're in office, and many times afterwards, they still come to you. Does that ever get old when people they constantly come to you looking for answers to things and stuff?
Well, I'm not an email person, so I would rather them call me, text me, and I'll go to their house. Okay. I actually, when I come home from work, I take a different route every day.
Do you really?
So I can see what's going on in the city. I come from the north, I'll go down all the way down Inkster and come back up south from the south. And I just want to see what's going on in the city. And if they want to talk to me, call me. I'll come to their house.
Wow, that's pretty neat. You've done so many different things. I mean, you started up the cleanup drives and things like that. It's got to be very rewarding because you're one of those guys who's not scared to get his hands dirty.
No, not at all. The biggest one was when I first got elected, I had a lady trying to get a handicap sign in front of her house for her son.
Okay.
Once it was installed, 2 days later, she'd been trying for 6 months, she sent me a picture of her son in the wheelchair actually hugging the sign.
Oh, no kidding. Really?
So that's
that's rewarding.
That's the good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So. Exactly. Now you've been in Taylor all your life, correct?
Yep.
Okay. How did you? You're a master plumber by trade. How'd you get into that? Walk us through that.
My dad was a plumber. Worked in salt mines. He had 9 kids.
Okay.
Worked midnights, and then during the day he did plumbing. And he was actually never licensed.
Okay.
He said he wasn't going to get one because he was doing it before they required it. But when I got my master plumber's license, I could tell his chest was out to here. he was extremely happy.
Oh my goodness, one of 9.
One of 9.
That's amazing. My mother, who is 98 now, was one of 11 coal miners, kids.
Oh, yeah.
Near the end of the group, the youngest of the group, and maternal twins at that point.
Wow.
Oh, that's that's pretty wild. How do you view your role when it comes to city government? I know everybody views council, when they're on council, views it slightly different. I think you've seen that over the course of time. How do you view it yourself?
I take it pretty serious. I try to respond. I don't always get the messages, but I try to respond. I view it as a full-time job. People will call me and go, "Oh, sorry to bother you." Well, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Exactly.
So I take it pretty serious.
When you first ran for council a decade ago, what made you run for office? What was going on at that point that keyed your interest?
I seen some things happening in the city.
Okay.
I actually, through my company, I'd been doing some work for the city, and it was taking 90, 120 days to get paid.
Okay.
Some other things, the spending and that, and I decided to get involved. And I was at, for at least 10 years before I ran for council, I was at almost every study session and council meeting.
Were you really?
Yes, I was.
Oh my goodness. That must have been a little bit of a trip.
Yeah.
Most people who have been on council and have done it kind of like you have, where you got into it because you had
Right.
certain questions. Okay. They also have said after they get on council that once you're on the other side of the table, the view can change a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
What do you look at?
Well,
What do you
a
see
lot of
there?
people don't understand what it takes to do jobs in the city. I mean, the DPW, those people work, it's unbelievable. They'll go, you get the typical joke, one guy holding the shovel, the other guy's looking in the hole, and the other guy's sitting down. They're all there for a reason. They don't want that wall to fall in. They're keeping an eye on it.
Right.
They're waiting for concrete. They're waiting for this, So, it changes your view on things.
I hear you. Being a lifelong resident of the city, 1980 graduate of Kennedy High School, how's the community changed during your lifetime?
We've become more of a city.
Okay.
Back in the day when I was a kid, we had woods behind our house. We'd go hunting with BB guns. There was a lot of mini bikes and snowmobiles. And as we grown bigger and more subdivisions, it just can't be done now. Not where it's not going to affect other people.
Is there a push-pull there between the people who want rural Taylor?
Yes.
And
it's hard to get equal footing for those.
Well, I remember a couple of years ago, I think you and I were talking, might have been even sooner than that, when UniFirst was building over there. Now that's almost in your backyard, right?
Yeah.
And you were telling me that takes some adjusting.
Well, I got flack for approving some projects, and the first thing was said was, "What if it was in your backyard?" Well, as a matter of fact, look, it is in my backyard.
Right.
If I didn't want nothing back there, I should have bought it.
Right, exactly. And quite frankly, you're off Holland,
right?
And you're backing toward Inkster, correct?
Yes.
And that's where that is.
Yes.
And there's a ton of open space there forever since you've been there.
Right, and I have 3 acres. I'm lucky. I was able to build my house. I could have built anywhere, but I chose Taylor.
Why'd you choose Taylor? Just because you were a Taylor guy, or was there some other driving factor?
Well, there's a couple reasons. Because I was a Taylor guy, and the people of Taylor. I mean, I'm not going to say anything about other cities.
Yeah.
But running my company, a 24/7 company, you would go to a house in Taylor and you would do the work, and they would pay you. You go to another city and they go, "Well, I can't believe you charge that much." Okay. Taylor's just good people.
Yeah, kind of salt of the earth, right?
Yeah.
That's what I've always thought too. You've always told people that you get what you give. Okay. Obviously, you mean jumping in. Are there things now where people need to jump in or have jumped in and it's shown, that you've noticed?
Well, I say that because a lot of people don't know it. In the 5th grade, I couldn't read at a 1st grade level.
Really? Okay.
And we had one teacher at Bartlett that said, "Charlie, if you want to learn to read, come in every day an hour early and I will teach you."
No kidding.
His name is Jim Coogan.
Okay.
And I got to tell him thank you years later. But I put into it and I got back out of it. I ended up going to the 6th grade with a 5th grade reading level.
Wow.
And then going from there, becoming a master plumber, becoming a councilman. But, same thing in the neighborhoods. Here, I had a kid that was in school with one of my kids, Philip Dean. And he probably don't know this, but early on, when I was in the social media thing and before I was on council, he was talking about, "Charlie, you're complaining about this, but how are you going to solve it?" And I took that seriously. So you get what you give.
Right.
So jump in.
Right.
Your neighborhood, you having problems? Go talk to your neighbors. Try to work it out.
Do you feel, you've been on council for a while now, okay? You're one of the leaders, you're one of the veterans up there. Does that stifle any of what you're talking about? How you know how you feel that you should be? Does that hold you back at all? Do you ever sit there and go, well, I can't go on social media here because I'm a councilman, or I can't say this? How do you balance that, Charlie?
Well, it's very hard because I see people talking about things, and they really don't know the other side.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to step back and not say some things. You know,
right.
I'm a construction guy, and you know, the way we talk sometimes wouldn't be appropriate.
I hear you. Growing up, okay, a big family there with 9 kids. What was your family life like at that point?
Hectic.
What do you remember?
Hectic.
Yeah.
Hectic. I don't care for potatoes because that was one of my jobs, was to peel potatoes.
Was it really?
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's yeah. And liver and onions, no way. So yeah, it was hectic. It was, you know, I was very lucky. We had everything we needed and mostly everything we wanted. My dad worked very hard to give us that.
Wow, that's fantastic. What do your brothers and sisters do now? Where are they at? Are they all still in
one
the
just
general
retired
labor?
from Ford's.
Okay.
2 of them are retired from Ford's. Unfortunately, I have 2 that passed away.
Okay.
I have a sister that lives in Canada,
Oh, okay.
and she talks like that now.
Okay.
So, and I have a sister down in Brownstown.
Okay.
So, and I have, I can't count the nieces and nephews.
Oh my goodness.
A whole bunch of them.
There's rewards to having a large family.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
And there's drawbacks too. So.
Oh yeah.
you know.
Yeah. There's certain things that come with the territory. Who had the greatest influence on your life?
My dad.
Your dad?
My dad and my uncles.
Okay.
All military veterans, all hardworking.
Okay.
You know.
Were they all in the plumbing or trades business? Or?
My dad started off in plumbing in Ohio.
Okay.
Because our family's from Ohio.
Okay.
And my uncles were farmers down there. And a couple uncles here by association,
Okay.
who I was actually named after, Charley Fox and Charlie
okay.
Schrader.
Okay.
They all worked in the salt mine with my dad.
Okay.
Just hardworking, good people.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. You know, one thing before we segue into the Veterans Museum, I wanted to ask you, because again, you're a grassroots guy. If people are out there listening to this, and they're going, what do I have to do to, maybe if I'm interested to run for office or run for council, what would you suggest that they do?
I would suggest they go to as many meetings as they could.
Okay.
And just pay attention, pay attention, pay attention.
Okay. All right. Listening is more important than
Yeah.
bursting out.
Yes.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I think that's very good advice, Charlie, to be honest with you. Let's shift gears, okay? We're sitting in the new expanded Taylor Veterans Museum. You recently added a Purple Heart wall. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. With the AIM featuring military veterans who've earned that honor. Tell us about the wall project. You guys had quite a gathering here when you put the first members up.
Yeah, it's this started over 10 years ago. It came from an idea from Butch Remick.
Right.
And he don't like this story, but I'm going to tell it.
Okay.
He came to me with a picture and said, I'd like to do a veterans museum. And he showed me a picture of a museum in Frankenbooth.
Okay.
And I said, do you want it to look like that, or you want it to look classy? So we got classy.
Exactly.
So it was a lot of work, a lot of volunteers. I mean, it was unbelievable amount of people that helped. So my goal is to finish this museum by the time I leave office or die.
Well, hopefully that'll be a long time, Charlie. Hopefully you got some time here. Charlie, this is the Purple Heart wall that you guys created. Beautiful plaques. You wanna walk me through what you did here?
Well, Frank Cannon, who was on the commission before he moved away, and a retired police officer, started a campaign to make us a Purple Heart City. The benefits of that is we're a Purple Heart City. We recognize the sacrifice these people made. Some with their lives, some with their bodily injuries.
Right.
So that was important. We are Purple Heart City. We need to have a Purple Heart wall.
Excellent.
So Holly Magoo This was just added, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
And you could tell it was added because it's not at the same level as the other one. So I got to come in and fix it later, but that's okay.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's
I hear
okay.
you.
The volunteers we have are great. We need more, though.
And this is a very young Butch Ramick.
Very young.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And these are just beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah,
This is
it's
one
just-
of the prettiest plaques I've ever seen.
Yeah, and he did an amazing job. And that's actually Purple Heart wood.
Yeah, it is.
You know, so-
It's kind of amazing because when you look at this, just glancing at it, you think it's some kind of acrylic or something, but that is all wood.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of amazing. I don't think I've ever seen Butch quite as emotional as that night. He was really, he was tearing up.
Yep, he was.
Yeah, yeah, which is really cool. But we want suggestions for this wall. We want Purple Heart award winners to be displayed here, and the only way they're going to do that is if they make contact with the museum.
If they come into the museum and you know, we need a picture.
Right, need a picture.
We need a picture and a name. I'm going to be getting little brass plaques to put on the bottom to let everybody know who they are.
Fantastic. This space is much bigger than the space that we had at City Hall when the museum was there. When it comes to enhancing and finishing, what are your plans?
Well, we have a idea of about $35,000 we need to finish the cabinets.
Okay.
There's, they got to be tempered glass. They got to be installed. A bookcase with a table so people can look at books. Come in and just sit and relax. So I started 2 years ago again with the museum, and we had about 6,000, I think.
Okay.
We're up to over 21,000 that we've raised.
That's fantastic.
So we're trying to raise the rest of it. If not, I'm going to ask the city council. It's a city building, so
absolutely.
And the cabinets will always stay here. Right behind you is a cabinet that I purchased in honor of my father-in-law and my mother-in-law.
Gotcha.
So,
well, that's pretty cool. And these cabinets were originally built for that small space,
right?
And they were built by a Masco master carpenter, if I'm not mistaken, or was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really good guy.
Okay.
He was very good at carpentry.
Well, these are beautiful.
They're absolutely gorgeous. Got to give a big shout out to the Parks Department, though. Our maintenance department.
Oh, yeah.
They moved it all over here.
Right.
And they did one heck of a job.
And they made it work.
Oh, yes.
You've got some ends that need some work on them, but
Right.
that's minor stuff compared to what they could have run into.
Oh, yeah. They did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I know. I remember, Susie Riddle taking
Oh, yeah.
all the things out to pack them in
Michelle Hall,
boxes.
Johnny Madraco, all
Right.
the guys. I mean, they did a heck of a job.
Right, exactly. The Friends of the Taylor Veterans Museum is a 501c3
Yes.
nonprofit that supports the facility along with donations and some sales and merchandise. Right now, you're trying to gather more donations to display and honor more veterans. Do you feel like you're making progress with that? And how?
We have a whole room back there full of uniforms that
Okay.
we love to display.
Okay.
And once we get the rest of the cabinets in, then we can display them. And then as we get more, then we can rotate it.
Gotcha.
We don't have enough cabinets to rotate right now.
I hear you. And it's very difficult to rotate because, when you look in these things, they're put together.
Yes.
There's a lot in there.
And that was the volunteer group that began this whole thing. Amazing people. Susie Riddle, one of them.
Right, right, exactly. And a lot of time and effort into that.
Paul Battistone.
Right.
There's a cabinet behind him. And
Gotcha.
when the museum changed hands, he was adamant. That's my cabinet and never be changed.
Right.
And I promised him before he passed that it would never be changed.
And it hasn't changed.
Yeah. He paid for it. It's his uncle in there. It's going to stay.
That's fantastic. Charley, when you first got back here, what did this place look like? This is your storage facility here.
There was nothing here.
Okay.
It was all at City Hall.
Okay. All right.
And it was all in a room a third of this size.
Wow.
So it was piled on top of everything. Once I got it out there, it was there. We didn't have shelving.
Right.
We raised the money and purchased the shelving.
But then somebody I know put this all together.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
How long did it take you to do it?
It took a couple days. It wasn't easy.
Right.
Same thing with these. We had regular racks that they were bending.
Right.
And these uniforms are heavy.
Oh yeah.
And we have probably 40. That's
Right.
why we need the cabinets.
Right,
And
exactly.
a lot of these have got corresponding cases, so we try to get everybody's name on it. You know,
So it'll be nice when you can empty this whole place out when you have enough cabinets.
absolutely. You know, and you know the reason for the bookcase is we got all kinds of books.
Exactly.
You know, we have, you know, it needs to get out there. People need to see this, and people need to remember.
Right. Exactly.
It's very important.
Exactly. When it comes to donating money to the facility, what's the best way to do that, Charlie?
Well, the best way would be to write a big check
Okay.
and make it out to the Friends of the Taylor Museum
Okay.
and send it over to the clerk's office. It'll
Okay.
get to me.
Okay.
I got 2 yesterday
Okay. Fantastic.
from Hennessy Engineering
Uh-huh.
and from Tim Keys. So thank you very much.
Well, that's fantastic. That is excellent. What about memorabilia? Okay, if people want to either create something like this or they just want to donate their fathers or their grandfathers or even their old military memorabilia, do they just walk in? Do they make a call? What's the best way to do it?
We're open most of the time Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Gotcha. Okay.
We're having a hard time getting volunteers, so any volunteers, we need you. But I would bring it into here. We're trying to slow it down because we have so much in the back. You know,
Right.
once we get these cabinets built, and then we can open the gate and say, yeah, bring it. We'll fill out exactly what you have. You have an option to donate it, or you have an option to donate it with getting it back whenever you want it.
Right.
You know.
Right. Excellent. Excellent. When you look at this museum, okay, and you've put a lot of effort here and a lot of leadership time into it, do you have a favorite display or anything like that, and why?
Well, I kind of like the display that the cabinet I bought.
Okay.
The lady that's in it at this particular time, she was in the military for 26 years. She was a
Okay.
school teacher in Taylor.
Okay.
And she recently just passed away.
Okay.
And then we'll rotate that out, and I'll put my wife's grandfather's stuff in there.
Oh, fantastic.
You know, which is kind of cool because my grandsons come up here and help clean.
Okay.
And
So then
they
they get
actually
to-
wear the hat that their great-great-great-grandfather wore.
No kidding.
Yeah, I had them put
Really?
it on, and you know,
my
they
goodness
loved it.
gracious.
So
That's fantastic. As we wind this down, Charlie, let's talk about priorities, okay? Well, what are you looking at as priorities for the rest of your term on council? You got 2 more years of this term, okay? You got priorities?
yes, I feel that we need a bigger push on rentals for our inspection rentals,
Okay.
for our apartments and stuff. I feel ordinance is very important. I feel that, you know, when I took office, we were $3 million in debt. We're about $12 million to the good,
Right.
which is only about, I think, 90 days of
Something
running the
like
city.
that, yeah,
You know,
something, yeah.
but we're there. We're good. Now we need to start investing. Get employees in here. Let's bring the city
Right.
to where it should be.
And that's a huge issue on so many different levels, rentals in this city.
Yes.
Because when this city was developing, it took a tremendous amount of multifamily dwellings, okay? And, you know, what was maybe a benefit at some point in time, almost now is a curse because it's difficult to keep them on the guidelines.
Yeah,
all of that
in a
stuff.
way it is. They get charged for a rental inspection, and it's important.
Right.
It's very
Oh, yeah.
important.
Yeah.
You got to think about this. A lot of people complain about people renting houses. Not everybody that rents a house is a bad person. That's what they choose to do.
Right.
I've been in thousands of homes as a plumber, and I've seen everything you could imagine and worse. And if you rent a house that's in nice shape, it's going to stay that way, especially if you're on it.
Right.
But think about this. They pay 18 mils more. You take all the rentals out of here, that's going to be a big hit to the
I hear you.
the budget. you
Yeah,
know?
and you know those type of improvements to the city. I mean, again, I hate to keep banging the same term, but they're grassroots. I mean, you're talking about pulling a community up by its bootstraps when you enforce those regulations.
You have to. They have to be enforced. People don't like it, but I'm sorry, it's safety.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, Don Honecker, that I did some work for before I was on.
Yeah, Don's a good man.
He's a good guy, and I always told him, I want people that want to live in Taylor, not stay in Taylor.
Right.
Because I talk to people and they go, I stay in Taylor. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I want you to live in Taylor.
You want people.
Everything in Taylor we need is right here. Is in Taylor.
And you want people invested in this community.
People go, well, have you been to this restaurant in Allen Park? Nope. Sorry. Taylor.
I hear you. Charlie, that's about it for this show. Thanks for coming on.
Okay.
Continued success with the council and with the museum. We'll keep beating the drum for you.
Okay. I appreciate it.
For Charlie Johnson, along with Joe Camilleri and Samantha Rickert behind the scenes, I'm Carl Zymak. Thanks for joining us on another Up Close and Personal. We'll see you next when we feature another one of Taylor's leaders.